Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I've got a bit of an experiment to try out today, so I thought I'd share that process with you. It may or may not work, but I'm hopeful. I've been working on some different ideas to try for my Stitchery swap squares. If you want to know all about the great big little Stitchery swap, I will put all the links you need below, so you can find out all about it. So I'm not going to go on about that now. This is just trying out some ideas for backgrounds for some of the squares. I've got 15 squares to make. I usually make one extra to keep for myself. And this time the theme is my favourite ... I've had all sorts of different ideas for my favourite. I think this one is going to be all about my favourite colours. So I have got some plain calico here. I've been using this to do the to make the base for all of my stitched squares. So I've got that, and I've got some just ordinary kids crayons, Crayola crayons these are, but ordinary kids wax crayons, because I've seen people doing some things on YouTube with these, using them to create pictures, to draw pictures on images onto plain fabric and then iron it with something absorbent like a paper towel to take the wax out and set the colour. I don't need to worry about it being washable, because I don't think anybody's going to be washing the stitch squares. I send them anyway. But I thought it'd be a really interesting way to create some fun backgrounds. I'm not going to do actual images. I'm just going to do some kind of texture backgrounds to stitch into. Kind of inspired by, if you remember those pieces that Maggie Morris sent me, Maggie Morris sent me lots of beautiful pieces of stitchery, and a couple of them were these snippet rolls, and this one is an example of where what she's done is she started off with a plain, that looks like a calico that she's used in the background there, and what she said she did here is she used stencils to apply some background colour and to draw through and then stitch into. And I can reckon I've got this stencil, you know. I think I might even have this stencil, do you know what I mean? But I never would have looked at that initially and thought, oh yeah, she's done that with stencils. I think what a brilliant idea. So kind of in that idea, and kind of adapting what I've seen people doing with creating images to stitch into. I haven't seen anybody quite doing this, but I think it will work. So what I've got is, and I've had these for years. I used to do a lot of paper crafting. These are Fiskars texture plates. I don't know if they still make these, or if there are other versions of, but it's just really convenient, and I've got a lot of these, so that's what I'm going to use. But you could find other things that have, you know, around the house that have texture, and each of these has a different texture on each side, so you can see how much fun you could have with stitching into these the background patterns that I'm planning to create. I probably won't use that. I don't want anything kind of pictorial like that. I just want abstract texture. That one would be a good one. That one. Probably won't bother with that one. I want ones that are going to create a kind of textured pattern that I can stitch into. I'm not sure about that one. Or that one, maybe. Probably not that. Maybe that. Not this, probably. Or that. I think I'll put that one to one side, because I don't think I'm going to use that one. All of these others I probably will. Then I've also got another thing that some people watching might have. I've got these are meant as embossing folders, which you sandwich a piece of paper or card in here, close it up and run it through your die cutting machine, and it embosses this pattern. So of course you've got the embossed side and the debossed side kind of thing. So you've got two versions here. You've got this one where the pattern is the part that's raised, and this where the more negative space is the part that's raised. I think either could work for this. I think that would be a lovely pattern to stitch into. So I'm quite excited about this. There's a paisley one there. I think that could be fun. The brick pattern, but not things like this. I'm wondering about that. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep it out. I love that, but I don't think it particularly lends itself to being stitched into. And that's like a basket weave, isn't it? I wonder. You could satin stitch into that, couldn't you? Maybe. Now a little piece like this maybe would, I think perhaps not as I'm doing squares, but you can imagine how you could use that as a little edging and stitch into it. I wonder about this feather. I'm just thinking of the stitching part. I don't think it's particularly lending itself to stitching into. Maybe. Can't use them all, I haven't got room anyway. It just gives me a whole different way to use these, as I've got so many of them. That could be a pretty one. You can see that's one I've used. I've been experimenting with different techniques there. I've still got ink and stuff on it. I think I was doing some faux letterpress with that. It could be, well, that'd be a good one. It's a bit like a sashiko pattern, isn't it? You can see these have got sticky bits on here because a lot of these came free on the front of paper crafting magazines. That's how I've built up such a collection of them. Love this one. I don't think it's particularly going to work for what I'm doing now, but it's this sort of sketchy handwriting which I love. I've got good selection there. I reckon you could also do it with certain stencils. You'd probably be surprised if you start looking around what you can find. I mean, I'm just looking on my desk here and I've got this pot. I mean, that would pick up, you could pick up a texture from something like that, couldn't you? But I've got loads of these things, so that's what I'm going to use. And then I bought this pack of crayons in my local supermarket. It was just under £2.50, and it's got a good old selection of colours. Let's just tip them all out. Sniff test. So let's pick out some of my favourite combos. I think that'll do me for a minute. Oh, now I'm thinking orange as well. Should I just do the whole rainbow and be done with? Should I do rainbows? My favourite colour is rainbow. I'm going to try them for now. I can always bring more in later. Okay. I've torn off a whole strip of the whole length of the fabric that I've got at my 12 centimetres. So the squares that we're doing for the Stitchery swap are 10 centimetres, but with a seam allowance all around. So I've been cutting or tearing 12 centimetre squares and then focusing my work on a 10 centimetre square in the middle. So this is one long continuous strip and I'm going to work that way for now. Right, okay, let's hope I don't fall at the first hurdle. Let's try this first. And I'm just going to do it in one long strip and I can tear off the bits that kind of appeal to me. Alright, let's just, fingers crossed. I've got both sides, so you've got the this is more the negative space, this is more the lines. So I might try a little bit of both and see what they look like. Oh, it goes on beautifully easy. Oh, look. This is going to be very satisfying. Like that. So in comparison, if I do a little bit way over here, I'll do a bit in the other side. Let's see how much difference that makes. Probably with this pattern it's not going to be a lot, is it? You can see it's like the reverse image, isn't it? I have to be careful not to go into the lines, to be careful to just make sure I scoot over the top, otherwise you lose definition like I've done there. But I'm not going to worry about that, because I can still put little snippets of scraps and things over the top as well. So okay, so we've tried that one. I can use it again in a minute if I want to. So what I might do just a minute is just try, say I just did some background colour like this. So with this one, this is the kind of in between, so the negative space, and this is the line work. So I'm going to try the line work over the top, but in a contrasting colour. Oops. Whereas by contrast, if I did this side, I'm getting the solid, the in-between spaces come out. What do you think? What do you think? Is it a goer? And if I get some bits like that where I'm kind of losing the definition of it, it doesn't matter. It'll just be a little bright spot there that I can do whatever I like on. Okay, I feel like I'm going to start being a little bit more selective about what colours I put together. It's quite fun to do, taking me back to my childhood, this is. What colour do I want there? I feel like I want a bit of green here. It's too light to really show the pattern, so put a bit of that darker green over the top. These are actually kind of quite rounded, so I'm not sure how well that would work on that side. I think this side might work better. Overlap them a bit, let's see what that's like. Okay, I've had a good old play around with the embossing folders then. Which ones haven't I? Oh, I haven't tried this. Let's have a go with this. I feel like I'm going to have to get a little bit more selective about which bits I put. You know, maybe have larger bits and think a little bit more carefully about what colours I put next to each other. I don't know, or shall I just go completely random and just see what happens? Let's try this colour. Like, honestly, it brings back all the joy of doing rubbings when you were a kid. Oh, I've moved it there. That's something to be careful of, trying not to move. Kiddies everywhere now are going to be losing the crayons because we're all going to be pinching them. Let's just may as well try this last one then, since I've tried all the others. Give myself a pale orange background first. Let's try this. One little tip I thought was interesting, don't know if I need it so much with this, but when people were doing images, actually sort of more precise kind of images, they took a piece of sandpaper and put down sort of gritty side up and placed their fabric down on that because it helped to stop the sliding around. So, I mean, I wonder if I should just, have I got some handy? Where's my sandpaper? So, yeah, it's just kind of using it as a non-slip mat, I guess. Let's see if that helps. Yes, it does look. It keeps it much more still. Okay, so I just wanted a bit of a coloured background there. Do this over the top. It strikes me that another thing that would work quite well would be a little bit that punchinella, you know, that kind of sequin waist. I reckon that could work quite nicely as well. Make little circles. Probably find some of that fairly easily. Okay, got them to try in a minute. So I just want to try this the other way round. So this more line worky one. So again, let's give a pale colour background. I think if you had those kind of red rubber stamps that are quite, I don't think it'd work with the silicone ones maybe, but the red rubber stamps that are quite firm, I reckon they would work. Lino cuts, you could oh, Granny Sue, your birdie lino cuts, you could do that with these. I mean, that looks like a bit of a mess at the moment, but it's a colourful, interesting mess that once I started stitching into it, I think I would quite enjoy. So let's try some of these texture plates now. The only thing left to try now is the stencils. I'm quite happy with it. I think this could be really interesting to try. I think I need to carry on working and just, I mean, that part is really appealing to me, so I perhaps need to think, okay, that is quite a favourite combination of colours for me. I'm not so keen on this. Why am I not so keen on that? I think it's maybe just because there's no colouring behind here, but I could add that with the stitching. So I reckon once I start, it's only a basis. Once I start stitching into it, it will change anyway. I want to go with all of it and see see what I can do, and I will work my way through this whole strip, and I'll probably get to know what I really like during the course of doing that. Okay, I'm going to put some just a layer of this paler pink here, and I'm going to try some of this punchinella, see how that works. There's blue over the top. Interesting, because it's quite thin, so the crayon is going through and getting picked up. You know, it's not just picking up the outlines. Oh, I fluffed it now, look. But still quite interesting to stitch into, even if all you did was put a little French knot inside every one of those circles, you know. And let's, for a change, try a bit of black and see what that looks like. They go on so nicely. Right, can I put some of that orange on? I'm going to use this red over the top. Or should I go the deeper orange? Let's try the deeper orange. And I'm going to try this one, this kind of mandala stencil. Just a little edge of it. I might do, if I like it, I might do more later. I think mandala could be really fun. I think you can see where I'm going with this. I've been quite a long time already, so I'll stop filming now. I'm going to carry on and cover the whole of the rest of this strip, and then I'm going to go away and press it in the way I described. And apparently when you press it, you shouldn't kind of go back and forth because you might smudge it. You just want to press down, so you sandwich it between your paper towels, and then you just press and hold and lift it up until you can see that there's no more wax or kind of colour coming off, and that should hopefully set the design and take that waxy finish out of it. I mean, to be honest, you could kind of wonder if you could just leave it like this and stitch into it like this. It's kind of got a bit of a waxy sheen here and there, but does that really matter? It's not like none of these squares are going to get washed or anything, are they? So I'm going to carry on building up layers. And as I say, if there are any bits I really think afterwards, oh, I don't like that bit, I can always cut off a little bit and patch it over, or put a patch of something else on, or, you know. So I'm just going to have fun with this and not worry about it too much. And I will be back when I've ironed it and I'm ready to sort of perhaps tear it up into squares and have a bit of a think about the stitching. I don't believe it, I've just been wittering away to myself for 5 minutes and hadn't pushed record. Oh, so here's my finished strip. I've already started tearing up now. Oh dear. I finished doing my little colourful rubbings all the way along. I really enjoyed myself. Had a lovely time, and yeah, quite pleased with how that turned out. Then I took it downstairs, put a breadboard on my countertop in the kitchen, and laid this across the board, sandwiched it between 2 sheets of paper towel, and just pressed with the iron. And then lifted it up to see if the colour was coming off. So a little bit of the colour was coming off, a little bit of the wax, but not a lot. It didn't seem to take very long at all to get to the point where it wasn't lifting anymore. It feels now just very slightly stiffer than it was, almost as if it's a fabric with a bit of a finish on it. Doesn't feel at all like it's going to be difficult to stitch into, and it's not like it's got glue on it or something like that, you know. It just feels, yeah, like when a cotton fabric sometimes has a finish on it. That's how it feels. What I started to do now was tear this up into squares. I've realised that I've actually torn this slightly wider than the 12cm square I want to start with, so I'm going to tear these up into 12cm squares now. I'm not going to pick and choose, I'm just going to tear them off randomly, you know, just as they come, and give myself the challenge of stitching into them. I will probably do little stitches in between some of the areas so they almost look like separate pieces of fabric, but others I will just merge into one another. I will tear all those up now, come back and show you, and then I will stitch into at least one tonight. I'll at least get one done tonight, so I can come back tomorrow and finish up this little video by showing you how one of the squares turned out. I've trimmed up all my squares. I'm going to go and get my dinner now, and then I will spend some time this evening stitching at least one of these to come back and show you in the morning. But I thought I'd just flip through what they look like now. I ended up with 2 smaller ones, just the way I ended up tearing them. Got some that are sort of, that's one of my favourites, some that are more favourite than others, but I think once I start stitching in them, like that one as well, once I start stitching into them, it's probably all going to change. I know I'm going to enjoy it because I have got my favourite colour combos in here. There we go. So I'm going to do that and I will be back in just a second for you. It's the next morning, as you can see by the coffee. I did do quite a bit of work on one of the squares. That sequin's still loose at the moment. Took me longer than I thought it would. I really enjoyed it. I've got more to do. I'm going to do a bit more around here, and then I'm going to do one of the darker colours. Haven't decided which yet. One of the more definite colours. I'm just going to do a chain stitch around. I've actually just basted where the 10cm square frame sits, and I'm just going to do a sort of a heavy chain stitch or something around that to sort of mark it out. But yeah, I could go on and on. I could spend another 2 hours stitching into this yet. You can probably see, if I look at the back, you can see how much stitching I did into it. But it's great, there's just so much scope, and actually, you know, I could keep it simpler. Like, so if you took this one, I could just maybe do like different joining stitches in between each of these areas, and then just do a straight stitch across them. But yeah, I really enjoyed just exploring the whole idea last night. I had a lovely time. I didn't want to stop. I had to force myself to stop and go to bed. In the end, I decided it wasn't, these haven't got enough kind of body to them, so I just put a square of this. I got this was from a bundle of a free fabric bundle from Contrado, and I had a whole lot. It's a bit random what you get, but I had a whole lot of this fabric, so I just put a piece of that on the back, just to give it a bit more body to stitch into. I'm really happy with this idea, and we'll definitely be exploring it some more. In hindsight, I wonder, should I have made it less, all the different colours? I don't know. But this is my, yeah, this is, I love this kind of mix of colours. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. Definitely an idea I will do more of. And I've got, how many have I got here? This is about, it's about half my squares there. I've already got some others in a different style downstairs. So yeah, probably got a few days stitching in here though. So I hope you liked that little idea. Sorry, I'm still sitting in my pyjamas having my coffee. I hope you liked that little idea. I think there were all different kinds of ways you could take it, but I just thought it'd be quite fun to share the idea with you. Be interesting to see what other people might do with it. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again really soon.